So we are presenting on ProofNet, which is a traditional accounting software, but integrating blockchain. I'm Oliver.
I'm Peter. And I'm Finnegan. Okay, so I just wanted to throw this at the beginning because I think it's like it can put stuff into perspective about small businesses. So left is the founder of Apple's house. He started Apple in his garage and then obviously grew it to, what we know now. So anything can happen out of a garage, and a lot of money can be made as well. So next slide. All right, so current environment and challenge for ProofNet. So, like Oliver said, we're creating a decentralized kind of environment for traditional accounting and data logging. And the current market with things like QuickBook, which we'll end up talking about, or shadow currencies like Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, which can't be tracked very well. It's very fragmented. So it relies, all these people that are starting up their business rely on paper in a super disconnected market that's like often crowded, and mistakes can, come with the fog. And then offering less tools than what's actually needed for smaller businesses. A lot of businesses focus on, medium to larger size companies that they can work with. But we are focusing on right at the bottom, small business enterprises. And then we got this idea. This is my dad right here. He owns a dry ice blasting company. And so we've been talking to him throughout the project, and not necessarily like, the project's not created just on his opinion, but like, what he would benefit from. We've definitely talked with him about that. So next slide. So the target market, we are targeting the small business enterprises, so small business owners, solo entrepreneurs and freelancers, and then micro startups. And the blockchain system pushes for a central data bank of small business enterprises, which eliminate the important financial skills that keep one from, fraud, wasted time, monetary damages. And we'll talk about that in the next couple of slides. And then use cases. So ProofNet will be a data bank as well as financial tools, which will be later talked about the monetization of that, and continuous bookkeeping, automated expense reconciliation, tax, cash calculations, just everything that can do with financial obligations that a business needs to withhold to either like keep them afloat, or what we are going to try and implement. Next slide.
Okay, so when it comes to competitors, surprisingly not obsolete, but very inefficient is physical records. They are extremely time consuming. They are very easy to manipulate. So there's always going to be errors, and there's a huge risk for fraud with them. There's also enterprise resource planning. This is usually for really large organizations, but it's extremely expensive. And since we're trying to focus on small businesses, this is not realistic for most of them. And there's also centralized control when it comes to corporate administration. And the biggest competitor is traditional accounting software like QuickBooks, which these records are very editable, and there are also manual processes to them. So it takes a lot of manual labor. And then there's also delayed payments. So if you're working for a real estate firm and brokers are waiting on commissions, these could take weeks for them to come. And this can be streamlined very easily through blockchain technology. So this is ProofNet. It's a mix between traditional accounting software and blockchain. And there are 4 very clear upgrades that ProofNet will give. And one of them is the ledgers will not be able to be edited. So you can have more trust in the information that you're seeing. There's also manual invoice matching. So these smart contracts will streamline processes and eliminate the middlemen and allow these payments to go through immediately, which goes into the slow wire transfers that a lot of small businesses face. There will be no fees and no delays. And then also periodic audit reports, which are tamper-proof, and you can't go into the accounting records and change anything. So this is the value proposition. ProofNet will save you around 10 plus hours per month. It'll cut payment costs because there are no fees and there's no wait time. And then it'll also stop invoice fraud within small businesses.
All right, and then so here are some of the challenges that we came up with when building this new blockchain. The first one is regulatory and compliance risks. So blockchain and technology is moving really fast, and the laws that regulate it are kind of a little bit delayed. So there'd be a lot of working around those and trying to adapt our blockchain to fit with those regulations. Another one is adoption resistance from these smaller businesses. People are hesitant to get involved with blockchain, like as we know. And so one of the issues that we might face is that especially these smaller businesses who don't have a lot of funds, that they won't put our trust in them. But our hope obviously is that the positive that Oliver's talked about will help them switch. A weak blockchain justification, we need to prove that this is more beneficial to them than just your normal like accounting software. So we need to prove that blockchain isn't just a buzzword and that it's really like a solid foundation and it will be super beneficial to them. And then the last one is trust and accuracy risk. So as we know, blockchain is permanent. We can't go back and readjust any data. So we need to make sure that the data that we're putting into the blockchain is accurate the first time so that we don't make any mistakes that we cannot change. And then as far as how we're going to make money, 6 main ways that we're going to do this. The biggest one is a subscription, similar to the group that just presented. So a small business will pay us a subscription fee, and then what we will do there is just manage their ledger and keep all of their information in the same place, and we'll take their payments. And then you can add on to that if they're like, so for example, we could charge the businesses for automated tax filing and compliance, so they won't have to hire like an accountant or an audit to do that for them. They can pay an extra to get some more advanced data analytics to improve their business. So we could, look forward. We could use their data and look forward. We can forecast for them, or give them other business advice as far as that goes. Transaction fees, every transaction that will go through this will take a small fee of just so we can make a little bit of money. And this won't be as big as, a credit card fee because there's no bank in between. It would just be us. Data licensing, that would just be anonymized, us sending data to partners and researchers for financial research. And then the last one is lending and credit scoring. That one's super interesting because it's all obviously a blockchain, so it's trusted. And what we can do is we can gather these companies' data and we can basically create sort of like a credit score and give these to banks or give them back to the company so that banks know that they are a trusted business if they were looking to get loans or things like that. And then finally, this is kind of how we're going to build it. So everything that we talked about, this is the code. On the left here, we have just kind of an example of what our website would look like. So we could, use just the normal login, and then we can go from here. And then on the right, we have all of the codes. So everything that we talked about would be obviously coded in blockchain. So for example, what each of these functions does, the record expenses, it stamps a spend with a hash proof or off-chain reconcile, links the expense to the matching invoice. So it just matches the transaction with the user. Calculate computes the tax owed based on the state that they're in, the country that they're in, the city that they're in. Create invoice just makes or mints a verifiable invoice record. So it just verifies the user. Verify confirms KYC status of the vendor or the buyer. And then finally the log just logs everything so that it can't go back and be tampered with. And that's ProofNet. If we have any questions.
Just to add on to this too, just because there are a lot of challenges that come with putting blockchain into something that's already existing, especially when it has to do with real world experiences. We know as a group that finances have a lot of strings attached, one being taxes, with the country you're living in. This does not mean that our ProofNet, we need to incorporate those experiences. So the whole decentralized, the United States government is still going to poke their eyes and tell you what to do in certain cases. That's just it needs to happen. But with security and data banking, ProofNet is where it that's the strength in the blockchain.